I think it's very good to talk about preservation, your point of view about preservation, but I'd like to ask you, how do you see the future of countries that doesn't have access of the technology? I think the distance to the country that has this technology will be the longest, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I think a lot about Brazil. Brazil should have ubiquitous, accessible 5G. It just should. And not just in Sao Paulo, it should be in the far western regions. It should be in the south. Like, it needs to be everywhere. 20 years ago, there was a saying, I'm going to say it wrong in Portuguese. Let me say it in English. Brazil is the future.
Yep,
right?
Yep, yep.
Do you remember that saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a famous phrase, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Okay. And then I think a lot of people today feel like it's almost like a joke, right?
Exactly.
Right. So, but here's the thing, like I've been to Brazil. There's amazing things happening in Brazil. There's a huge startup community. There's a lot. There's some of the most important banks in the planet are in Brazil. I think the issue is that the technology is not distributed very evenly. And so infrastructure matters, like all of these, like Brazil can and should become a global hub for synthetic biology. I think Brazil could reinvent agriculture, change the global south, influence what happens around the rest of the world. Brazil does not have the same geopolitical problems that the United States does and China does, right? Brazil's much more neutral. So Brazil could totally play a leadership role and be the future. But the government, whether, it was Bolsonaro, now it's Lula, I don't care who's the next president, they have to invest in infrastructure. And it has to be without corruption. There needs to be ubiquitous infrastructure and 5G at a minimum, right? And make it easier for people to engage digitally, which, so I think there's some work that's going to have to be done. I worry that the communities that aren't as connected are going, we're talking about these exponential technologies, AI, generative AI, Web3, synthetic biology, all of these things require connectivity and the cloud. Mm-hmm. And so the longer that everybody waits, the further behind these countries get. And I worry about that.
I love to hear that, of course, being here. It still sounds like, not a speculation, but a kind of a dream where we could do that. Because there are a lot of, in South America, you have Brazil, you have Argentina, you have Chile. Most of our countries, they do have economy based still on agriculture, meat, minerals. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about those things like harvesting meal inside the small machine that I put amino acids into it, and the other side gets a steak, it can really destroy the whole economy, right, of the country. But as you said, we're still in the beginning phase. There is a lot of things that should be done. But mm-hmm. I always see, independently of being in Brazil or any other place in the world, governments are slow. They don't act, they just react.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I was just in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum, and the Ministry of Finance, Fernando Haddad, was there, and I had a chance to talk with him a little bit. I think that he had some bold ideas about the future economy for Brazil. But ultimately, you've got to get people to cooperate. And you guys have, just like the United States, you went through a huge swing. You went from Bolsonaro on the very far right to Lula on the very far left. We just had the same thing happen, right? We went from Trump on the very far right to Biden, who's he's not as far left as Lula, but he's more left. And I think the problem for people who are government workers is that they're like, what the hell do you want us to, like, pick a lane, pick a side. When you have these huge swings backwards and forwards, it creates policy uncertainty. It creates challenges for the business community. I think everybody comes into office and they're like, okay, we're going to change everything. We're going to go fast. But then you've still got everybody that has to cooperate with you. So again, I think both for, like, if I were to give one big piece of advice to Lula's administration, long-term planning. What is your go 20 years into the future and imagine the best possible Brazil. What's it going to take to get there? And it's probably not going to be a super, super far left political plan. It's going to have to be something where there's compromise. And then whoever gets elected next is going to have to still work on that plan. We have the same problem in the US, there is no long-term plan. So the long-term ideas about the future, I think, have to be, again, we have to take away politics, and everybody has to be willing to invest in this longer term idea about the future and execute on that plan, which is a hard thing to do. Yeah. But like I said, I did I met up with some of the folks from the current government, and I was, we'll see what happens. I was very, very interested in what Fernando Haddad had to say. So we'll see what happens.